What's up? How is everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well this morning. Thank you so much for being here. Got a little bit of a frog in my throat, so you have to bear with me. Neil, what's going on? How you doing? Rocka Moss, thank you so much for being here. Greatly appreciated. Vote for
What's
Pedro. What's
up?
going on,
How is
brother? How you
everybody
doing?
doing? I hope everybody.
Jack, you
Yeah.
got your audio on. Got a little bit of a
What?
frog in my. You got your audio on. I can hear you through my stream.
Neil, what's going on?
I
How you
do?
doing?
No,
Think
I
so.
don't.
Thank you.
No,
I don't have anything open.
so why? I'm hearing an echo. let me
Nope.
let me close all these browsers and solves it.
I just have the chat
I'm hearing
popped
you
out,
through my
but no sound comes through that.
All right. Hey, what's going on, Luther? How you doing, brother? Good to see you. What's up, me? How are you doing? Hope everybody is doing well. Thank you so much for being.
Mhm.
Well, as you guys have probably seen, we're going to be talking gold today. And what I've done the last couple series is I've talked a little bit about stories of mint theft or things of that nature. And I've got a story here for you that I'm going to start off with. And ironically, they're all kind of tied together today. There's all sorts of little pairings and ties between these various stories. So I hope you guys like the topic that I have picked out today. If you're a stacker, there's probably a lot of information you already know about, but I'm hoping that I can bring you a little bit of information that maybe you haven't heard about. And the thing that I'm going to be talking about is an executive order. It's actually the executive order that predated 6102. So if you know your gold confiscation story, which I'm looking at the gold confiscation is 64% of the items that are located in my query that's listed there up above. Which ones are you more familiar with? The Panic of 1837, the 1896 Black Friday, the confiscation, or the Hunt brothers? And again, 60% are saying gold confiscation. This is something that a lot of people are fully aware of and are tracking. So we're going to be talking about this today. So before I do that, hi Paula, how are you?
Good morning. I
Like I
am
put
well.
you on mute because I'm just listening.
No, I put myself on mute. I'm well. Good morning. Good morning,
I
everybody.
heard you got a new coin.
I got a couple new coins. I did, but yeah, I'm excited. The coin I'm getting next month. That's gonna be nice. But yes, I am. I got a few. I got a couple coins. Nothing major, but fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Metal Matt, what's going on? Thank you so much. He says, well, I heard about the gold confiscation in 33. I enjoyed your Hunt Brothers video a while back, Frosty. Outstanding. That's good. So the only one that I haven't done a video on is the Black Friday, the 1896 Black Friday, the Panic of the Panic of 1837. I did talk about. We're doing obviously 33. I've done a number of those, and then I did do the Hunt Brothers. So absolutely, thank you so much for doing that. Steve looking for silver. Luther, he's in the correct chat. He's feeling better now.
Good morning, Luther.
What's up, Dandy Dave? How you doing? Good to see you. Siren has put the link to the horizontal stream in the vertical. So if you want to come over and see it on the full one, let's do that. Steve looking for silver. What's going on? Vote for Pedro here. I think I already said hi to everybody. If I
Can
missed
she,
you,
can she put Siren? Can you put a link to the? I don't know which one. To the vertical for me in the horizontal, so that I can pop the chat out from the vertical, so I could have both chats open. Could you put a link to that in the?
she will do that. She rocks. She's an
Thank
extremely good mod.
you.
I appreciate Siren a ton.
She rocks.
Good
Morning,
morning,
everybody.
Nana. Jack Riley's here. Okay, well, Jack's here, so we can go ahead and begin. Now we got both the Jacks in the room. So,
Jack. Oh, hey. Oh, I
yeah,
just want to mention that Jack Young got an award.
really,
So did Matt Dinger. They both got awards from the counterfeit people for
absolutely
for
phenomenal.
their. I don't remember what the award name is, but it's an award from the counterfeit people for their awesome, amazing contributions to the hobby and helping all of us stay safe. I'm
That's
sure if
awesome.
Jack Riley, or do you know what the name of that award is?
Luther's like, "Keep
Anyway,
jacks, don't make it right."
congratulations on that. Congratulations, Jack. Nobody deserves it more than you, that's for certain.
So me, the question is this a coordinated stream with Tiger? He covered the executive orders last night. The Al Cruiser Award.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations, Jack. That's awesome.
So
Very
deserving.
well deserving.
So deserving.
Yeah, very well deserving. So me, no, it's not in conjunction. However, I've had this sitting on the back burner for a little while because I was waiting until I did the conversation with the Anti-Counterfeiting Education Foundation, speaking of them. And there's a
I
story that I want to share with you. So we're going to go ahead and dig in to this. Tiger Sacker did do the executive orders. He got one little piece of trivia wrong. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But this comes from an article that was written in the New York Times around 2005. Now, if you guys are tracking today's story, 1933, St. Gaudens, double eagle. You guys are very aware what happened during that time. The United States Mint um, issued proclamation by order of the president that this coin was not going to be out. They withdrew it. So there was no public availability. It became basically illegal to own. But something happened in 2005 that was kind of interesting. And that was the United States Mint came out and said it had recovered 10 $20 St. Gaudens double eagles and had put them in Fort Knox. And this caused a lot of stink. There were a lot of issues with this particular announcement because there had already been a, a precedent set in 1996 where somebody had found or surfaced, I should say, a Gaudens double eagle. And that began a treasury battle with the court system and the person who actually owned the coin. Now, during this 1996 time, again, this was quite the to do. There was a massive sensation about it. And one of the representatives, actually the lady that I interviewed, who was the editor of Coin World at the time, said, we knew we had ideas that there were potentially more coins like this running around, like the 1964 peace dollar, those kind of things. There's always been rumor that some of those coins existed, and it wasn't until 1996 when this one popped up, and then 2005, 10 more popped up. Well, in 1996, they went through the legal part, and the Federal Reserve in New York was working with the Treasury, finally got all the legal things approved, and came back and said, now we're going to declare this part of a legal settlement. Mad Stacker, member for 12 months. Thanks so much, Mad. Appreciate you being here. The Treasury declared it legal coinage. And in 2002, it went to Sotheby's for an auction and set at that time, which was the most ever publicly paid for any coin, $7.59 million. Now, when we talk about $7.59 million for the St. Gaudens Double Eagle, that's no longer the high price. That coin last fetched 18 million just a couple years ago when it sold in a private sale. But this at the time, and again, you're talking 1996 to 2002, the value of money was a lot different. But 7.5 million was a ton of money. So here we go, 3 years later, right? This was sold in 2002. So people are like, hey, it was declared legal, right? So these people pop up and say, hey, check this out. We've got 10. And what did the Federal Reserve do? They snagged them. They confiscated them. Steve looking for silver member for 11 months. The Planchet. Thanks for everything you do. I appreciate you, Steve. Thank you so much. Tech Stacker, you got my email, which means you got the video. I'm looking forward to that. Appreciate you being here. All right, so 2005, 10 more of these double eagles were released. And this is something that the Mint's acting director at the time, David LeBruck, I think that's how you say his name, DeBrike, um, said that they had received these, but they confiscated them. And when asked, the media, was like, hey, well, hold on just a second. You already set the precedent. Like, well, you have to realize these were never lawfully issued, right? They were taken from the United States Mint there at Philadelphia in a manner that was not conducive to presidential order, right? So they said we're not doing this, we're not getting this gold out, we're not releasing this. There was never an official release; it had never been put out, and so we're confiscating them. It's illegal to own these. This is property belonging to the United States of America. And needless to say, that caused some massive issues. Now, what they stated was that we are not going to declare these legal coins. We're not going to auction them. And they said, because again, there were people that were trying to approach them to buy them because, when they had already set the precedent for this almost $8 million sale 3 years prior. Well, legal counsel for the PNG, which is the Professional Numismatist Guild, which is a nonprofit. They do a lot of work with the very top rare coin dealers. You'll see these little stickers on that. The confiscation of the 1033 double eagles could lead to significant problems over time. And as we look at what they mean, you guys remember just a week or so, 2 weeks ago, we had Mike Nodelman and we had Russ Bega. And on that show, they were talking about the pattern coin that was found. Really neat. They had sent it off since and proved the pattern coin was authentic. And it's, what is it, $280,000 or something like that. Phenomenal, phenomenal piece. Hey, what's going on, Mad? Thanks so much for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate all the support, brother. So when you look at this particular one, again, they were like, hey, we need to look at this. There's pattern coins like the 1804 silver dollars or the 1913 Liberty nickel, the 1943 bronze cent. Right? There's so many of these varieties. There's so many of these particular items that how do we prevent them from the confiscation? And so in 2000, they reminded the folks that they had filed what they called a friend of the court, the amicus curiae. This was a legal brief with the United States District Court on behalf of London, England. And this was the guy, Stephen Fenton. He's the one that it was confiscated from in 1906. And what they came back and they said this: unlike the Fenton case, where the coin was involuntarily seized, the owners of the last 10 reported eagles voluntarily sent them to the United States Mint for authentication and thus were confiscated. There were no court hearings, there was no due process, and could result in dire consequences should U.S. coins warned. It's called Veriton. I don't know what Veriton means. I've got to look that up. But it said that there could be potential issues, especially where we have these non-legal tender issue coins. We could have problems with that. And so ever since that was released, ever since this situation with the gold confiscation, ever since the situation with the 1933 situation that happened, 6102, you guys are all tracking that, right? There have been questions about can you turn something in? Can you announce? I did a story on the 1964. Steve looking for silver, sent 20 memberships. Holy cow, Steve. Thanks so much for that. Dandy Dave, Joey Libs, the Gambit, Thomas tripped on a nickel, Matt Winch, Brad V, Ron Pierce, the Acadian, Coin Silver, Captain Stacks, Jesse, Jay Catching Silver, Drosky, Space Forward. Holy smokes, man. Thanks so much for the support, Steve. I greatly appreciate you. And you'll see here shortly. You should see your membership gifter thing pop up in chat. Appreciate it. Floyd Elts TV, thank you so much for subscribing. Much appreciated. All right. So there were a lot of questions about this particular event. There were a lot of things that happened, and my opinion, and I'm going to say my opinion because I can't find this anywhere. I have no validation, Paul. If you're aware of anything, then but there are other coins out there that potentially could be another situation where items get confiscated. Will anybody ever come out if they have one? Pete Clark, thank you for becoming a member. I greatly appreciate your support, bud. Thank you so much. Um, could this happen again? Will we ever see the 1964 peace dollar? And knowing that there was this confiscation, um, I don't think that would happen. So again, over the Saturdays, my job, one thing that I wanted to do for you all was to bring you stories about what we called mint thefts, thefts from the mint and stuff like that. And this was on a little bit grander scale. But I thought it would be a fun story to lead you into this segment of us actually talking about the pre-33 gold, to talk about what happened during that time frame. So I'm going to give you guys a quick 5-minute overview of 6102. And the 6102 happened April 5th, 1933. This is something that you all Mad says, I don't understand why gifted memberships don't go to people in the live chat first. I don't know. The way they do it is if you have ever been in a stream, subscribed, even unsubscribed, and have some sort of engagement, you're eligible for a membership. I don't know how they do that, and I don't. There's no way to set it. You can't arbitrarily do that. But Mad's like quick 5 minutes. Yeah, right. I know. I got an hour, so I'm not in a hurry. But getting back to this 1933, April 5th, 1933, Executive Order 6102. Again, we know this. It's one of the most recognized, one of the most controversial things relating to gold. And this was the forbidding of hoarding, excuse me, gold, bullion, gold coin, and gold certificates. It was all the gold. It required everybody that had seen this, that was in possession of gold, and they utilized the term excessive. Now, when we talk about excessive, what is excessive? Well, excessive to somebody who has a 1 gram piece of gold and that's all they have, to somebody who has 400 ounces of gold, that may be excessive. But to the person who has 400 ounces of gold, they look at the COMEX and they go, man, I don't have very much gold at all. So what was the arbitrarily determination of excessive? And we can get into that debate. That's not what I'm going to talk about today. But the whole thing was truly an act of nationalization, requiring citizens across the United States to trade in their gold for fiat or paper currency, right? And what was the price for that? $20.67 an ounce. Oh, and how much time did they have to do it? Well, this was April 5th, 1933, and they had to have this done by May 1st. So this wasn't a little thing. Hey, when you get some time, go ahead and pop out some information and sell it in, whatever. It was a very specific time frame, and there were legal consequences. Now they didn't follow up on tons of them, but there were people that actually had to do that. And people were like, "Oh man, it came out of the blue, and it just it hit us, and nobody saw this coming." But I'm gonna differ, and this is where I haven't seen a lot of people actually talk about this, and I wanted to talk about some of the warning signs. In Stack Collector last week, we talked about a couple things where people were saying, when you look at silver and gold and you see these things, well, we know the catalyst of why silver went up or why the price of gold went up. And if you look at the price of gold, gold has battled inflation. Inflation of gold has stayed pretty close to each other. They've kind of mirrored that same general um, flow. Now, gold outpaces inflation right now, and you can see where it broke through a few years back. But the question is, there's always been a catalyst. So, what was the catalyst for this? And a lot of people don't really understand that there was something that happened a month before. And this was due to the inauguration of FDR. Now, let me say this first, folks. I'm not anti FDR. FDR did some amazing things. There were some major issues with some of the stuff he did, especially with the United States monetary system. There were some engagements in that. But again, this wasn't the thing that turned our giant snowball on. That happened in 1913. Actually, it happened in 1912. But 1913, when the Federal Reserve was created, that's when that kind of downward spiral started. But what happened on March 10th of 1933 was an executive order 6073. Now, this was a problem. I'm going to kind of give you the once over and then I'm going to dig into it. This this came about because of something that happened with the panic that was happening because of we had just gone through one of the worst times in financial history with the US. This was the Great Depression. Talk about Black Friday, you talk about the stocks dropping through the floor, you talk about all these major problems and issues during that time frame. And people had a serious distrust with the banking system. And hint, wink, wink, we'll still have issues with the banking system today. But one of the questions, one of the issues here was why why was this a precursor? And I know that a couple people have looked at this information and pulled it up. I actually struck one of the comments Neil left earlier in chat because he shared too much information. People would have read that, they wouldn't have watched the video. So I had to strike that piece. But on March 10th, 1933, President President Franklin Roosevelt initiated steps to stop the nationwide banking crisis um, in order to centralize control over the nation's gold supply. So this actually happened a month before. Okay. Now, what was this? Well, it was an essentially a banking holiday. Now, when I say banking holiday, people are like, well, what do you mean? Like the banks took time off? That's exactly what happened. See, people were going through the Great Depression. There were concerns with that. The banks had started to suffer some issues during this time frame. And Roosevelt issued what was declared a national bank holiday. Now, what this bank holiday was it was a period that was designed to kind of halt the bank runs that were happening. Now, remember, let's talk about the language that was utilized with the hoarding of gold, right? A lot of people listen to this and go, well, what they mean, right? The interpretation, what they mean is that people like stackers were just they were just stacking and storing and hoarding gold. And when we talk about hoards, we think of things like the Binion hoard or the Redfield hoard, right? The Big Sky hoard with the Ike dollars. There's lots of hoards, and when we think about hoarding, we think about this massive amount of gold that's being hidden either in somebody's garden or in some little crevice in somebody's basement, maybe in their ventilation system. Those are nods to some other stories that I've told you. But that's not what was going on here at all. And the story of the act prior, it's not actually, excuse me, let me correct that. The story of the executive order prior, that's important because it wasn't an act, was that it actually stopped the banks from being open and said, I need you guys to stay closed. And when I mean closed, it was closed to gold. Now, what do I mean close to gold? Well, they actually had a day where they closed the gold. They shut it down. The banks were not allowed to issue gold. Now, let's talk about that. Why is this? Yeah, Luther, I'm doing a follow up on that. I like the Binion Horde, and I'm going to do another one on a couple of the hordes. Do some follow ups. I've had a lot of people ask me about it, so I'll be doing some. I'll be doing some horde videos. If you guys like those videos, do me a favor, put a one in chat. If you guys want me to do more story-based stuff as well, I'm trying to bring more in. I've had a couple people kind of say, "Why don't you do more of this?" So if you guys want to see more of those story-based items, put a one in chat. If you want to see more fact-based driven stuff like this, put a 2 in chat. That way I can kind of get a feel for what people are liking. Um, but they basically put a kibosh on anybody buying um, gold back from the bank. Now, we had silverbacks, goldbacks, and those were, well, I shouldn't say silverbacks. I should say gold certificates, silver certificates. One's a gorilla and the other one's a gold thing. Um, one of the issues with this particular item was that this executive order also tied with something called the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917, um, pulled together to be created to something called the Emergency Banking Relief Act of March 1933. This was the catalyst. This was the start. You guys want to know where confiscation started? It was here. It wasn't in March. It wasn't through May. It was actually 1917. Now, there were coin acts, 1853, 1857, that stopped people from being able to sell gold in bullion form because they didn't want melting down American coinage to foreign nations. We also had issues where the United States currency no longer recognized or accepted foreign coinage in that as well. What's up, teacher? How you doing, bud? Long time no see. Thanks for being here. And thank you for being a member. Um, so when we look at those general timeframes, we see that there has always been a desire within the United States to prevent our money from making it overseas. Now, is this anything new? No. We had massive problems with this. I say we. There were massive problems with this all through um, King Henry VIII, right? King Edward, the Scots, the Spanish, the French, the English. They all had laws where it was treasonous to take the crown coinage, melt it down, and trade it. Right. This is something that has gone on forever. So the laws that were, hey, we don't want you trading this, they made sense. This has been something that has happened throughout history. You know, in Rome, you didn't want people melting down the Rome gold and giving it to Greece, right? Because that made that powerful, that made them more powerful. It allowed them to buy more lands, allowed them to have greater influence, buy more items. It was an opulence thing for the rich, right? So it became ways to pay and fund armies, right? Which is the original concept for why coinage existed in the ancient world. But again, there have been precedents of us not selling our gold to foreign countries. This was different. This was a fundamental shift in thinking. And Order 6073 was the first time in US history where there was an immediate and severe restraint on the ability for banks to handle gold. Now, when we talk about them handling gold, they were not allowed to pay out on a gold certificate. They were not allowed to trade back any gold coin, any gold bullion, any gold certificate. They couldn't even deal with it. They were told, you will not, you shall not release this. Okay. Now, that should have been a massive sign, people, that the next order, the Executive Order 6102, which everybody thinks was the one that started this, this should have been the catalyst that people went, oh, we've got a problem. And as people have been saying in chat, a lot of boats probably sank during this time frame. An unfortunate boating accident, right? And but this was the issue. Now, why was this such a big problem? Why was this such an issue? And part of it was they were talking about hoarding. Now, again, when we go back to this hoarding scenario, in the beginning, I was very clear that in the hoarding, we're not talking about people taking and just stacking. These are people wanting to withdraw their money. They don't trust the bank. They don't trust the government at this time frame. There's questions, there's concerns. And they know this. So this is the preemptive strike. And this is why so many people, when you talk about US government and central control of banks, this is one reason so many people have problems with it. But a lot of people don't reference 6073. A lot of people reference 6102. A lot of people reference entities in 64, 65. These are the ones that they reference, but there were always precursors to these. We're going to talk about the precursor another time, probably in stack electors, to the Kennedy Silver 65 Act that was done. We're going to talk a little bit about that executive order, what the precursor to that was. But in this particular case, it was that 6073 that was the defining marker. People really should have woke up and realized what was going on. And so there's always that catalyst. There's always something. In this particular case, it was not the restriction of the citizen, because again, that would be bad, right? It was the restriction of the banking system. The banking system couldn't do it. So who became the bad guys here? It wasn't the federal government, it was the banks. The banks were the ones who looked at this and said, you know, you're putting this on us. Well, why did they do that? Well, because they knew in just a few weeks they were going to do something that out of all of the 1933 stuff is what really gets me. And that is something that happens throughout history when the nation's trying to rally support. And that is, doesn't matter what the event is, they apply to people's patriotism. And if you look at the information on 6102, there was a lot of your civic duty, you know, in support of our nation, to grow our nation, to do the item that is the just and the American thing to do is to give the gold back. Right? That's sell your gold back. We'll give you money back. We'll give you your fair due. And, you know, do your American, your patriotic responsibility. That is the one thing, the utilization of patriotism. Folks, I was in the Navy. Paula was in the Air Force. Um, we have lots of folks in chat that were military members. You guys know we love our military. We love our United States. Now, here's the thing. I bleed red, white, and blue. Okay. I can't stand this anti-sentiment attitude on the religious end. I can't stand the anti-American views that some of the people have done. I just don't care for that, because if there's a problem, my question has always been, well, what can we do to fix it, instead of I'm going to bash it, grade it, and belittle it. Well, how do we fix our nation? Those are questions for time, but these are questions that need to be asked, right? And so in this particular time frame, it was the utilization of patriotism against us to sell it. And so this is one of the major problems that I have with this. Now, I have issues with central banking, and I have the issues with the way the Fed controls the money and things of that nature. I have lots of questions, which when the Coin Show podcast interviewed Ventris Gibson, the director, he enlightened us. Paula, come off mute for just a moment, if you will. She enlightened us to something that was extremely important. And one of the things that she enlightened us on, I want you, are you there?
I am.
I want you off mute because, again, this is something that it's a little off topic, but it plays to this. The United States Mint Director has limited power in what they can do with the mint. They can't issue coins, correct?
Yes.
They can't issue metals. No, they can. Actually, they can issue metals. That's the thing that I do. They have limited capability of issuing metals, but they can't just go print coin. They can't just go stop coins.
Print coins.
Mint coins. I'm sorry. Like no soup for you. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. I need to. You know the soup Nazi, the thing from Seinfeld.
I need a buzzer or something.
No soup for you. No gold for you.
No for you.
No coins for you. That's what we need to find. We need to find her. Okay, folks, you guys are on a task. This is exactly what we're going to do. Okay. We need to find a programmable button and record it. It says, no coins for you.
No coins for you.
And we need to put it on Paula's desk. All right. I have a mission. I know what I'm doing. Has anybody
Oh.
ever checked to see if Ventress had a hollowed out leg? I like the play there, Azure. That's funny. But no, the Mint Director is very limited in what they can do. So when we talk about understanding legislation, understanding laws, executive orders, Tiger Stacker did talk about executive orders. How many executive orders were there? He said there were 10. There's actually 11 because there's one that was turned into an act. It was an executive order, but it turned into an act. And that's one that I recommended you guys go look at. That is Emergency Bank Reliefing Act. That was actually an executive order that shifted. This happened in March 33. This was one of those things that was deemed so vital, so important by all all branches of the United States, executive, legislative, and judicial, that it immediately went from executive order to an act. So there actually is 11. So I have to give him a little bit of grief because he's like, man, I really researched the heck out of this. It's like, well, you know, but I gotta give my brother a hard time. Um, and so, by the way, folks, if you guys aren't tracking, Tiger has had there's the company he was working for had some issues. He's still working, but he's just not working. He's a contract doctor. He goes all over the place and provides emergency care in places New Mexico, West Virginia, uh, maybe even Texas here in the near future. And one of those companies has got their removed their contract. So um, be praying for him. He's fine. Everything is good, no problem. But just mentally, he's under a lot of load. So just be praying for peace for him. I would appreciate that. All right, so we'll get back into here. So the Mint very restricted on what they can do. So when you look at these items, people will try to blame the Mint for certain elements. They'll say, "Well, the Mint can't do this. The Mint isn't doing this," and we know that. The Secretary of the Treasurer can say, "Hey, we don't want you to mint any more coinage, i.e., the penny. We don't want you minting any." But it doesn't make the penny illegal. The penny isn't necessarily going away, right? We've seen more about this. We've heard about some of the desires. There's still more to come. The legislation hasn't been passed. Now, here's the thing. These were executive orders. 6073 was not an act. It was an executive order. 6102 was not an act. It was an executive order. And why is that important? Well, it's important because these things happen, they happen quick. And you see the executive orders from Kennedy, you see the executive orders from Ford, and a lot of those different executive orders undid a lot of this stuff. So you see that it was brought back and then it got rid of it again. We moved it to silver. So again, if you look at this, these are executive orders. And people say, well, if an executive order is not um, legal, it's not deemed as legal, then they don't have to perform the task. Well, here's the thing. The government is required on an executive order to start the process. We are underneath him. It doesn't matter if you're in the Department of Defense, it doesn't matter if you're in the Department of Finance, or, the Treasury, it doesn't matter where you're at. You have a requirement to start the process of acting and engaging on that executive order. You can't just say, well, I don't want to follow this. This is an executive order. Later on, the court systems get involved, and if they deem that it's legal, then they make a determination, do we act or not? Neither 6073 or 6102 became acts. Okay, so it's important when you're talking about the historical relevance of these particular items, they're not acts. James Schultz and me, yeah, ding, 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 plank owner arriving. For those of you in the Navy, me is one of the original OGs. He is a plank owner on my site. So thanks so much, me. 23 months. That's as long as I've had memberships, by the way. James Schultz, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being channel members. I really do appreciate all your guys' support. And again, Pete Clark became a channel member today. Thank you so much for doing so. But these orders never became acts. And why didn't they become acts? Well, because there was massive, massive, massive public outcry. And so when you're looking at the legality of this, there's a couple things that are important to understand when you're looking at executive orders and them turning into acts. Number one, a president who comes in and undoes another executive order. We've seen this happen with the uh, Nixon administration. We've seen this happen with the Kennedy administration. We've seen this happen with FDR. We've seen this happen with Biden. We've seen this happen with Trump. Any president comes in, can issue executive orders that undoes a previous executive order. But here's the thing, once an executive order undoes the work of somebody else, the following president can't undo the one enacting a previous one. Once one is undone, that executive order cannot be brought back up. It has to be redone, reframed in a different manner. It can't be written in the exact same manner in which the previous one was. And so that's important to understand when we're talking about confiscation. It's important to talk about these things and really understand what can happen during this time frame. Now, again, 6102 that followed this particular one was something that really caused a stink amongst a ton of people. But it wasn't the only one. If you want to know more about the executive orders, you can go ahead and go check out Tiger's video. He gave you a lot of information on 10 of the 11 executive orders. I'm going to give him a lot of grief about that, by the way. Um, but he did cover that really well. And so if you want to know about the executive orders, do so. And we can talk more. I know Neil said he wants to talk more about platinum and palladium. I'm not a big person on those. I would have to look at some of that information to research that. But we can definitely talk more metals. But I wanted to take some time and go over one the stories because you guys know that I like the stories and talk about the 1933 confiscation and what happened in that time frame, but really tie that to the catalyst that was for 6102. So again, when you hear people talking about the gold confiscation, when you hear people talking about 333 gold, and you'll see here my 1905 S AU 58. Paula, I put that one up here specifically for you because this is your favorite grade when you're talking about dealing with expensive items. And if you look at this gold
Indeed.
coin that's here, granted, it doesn't have the luster of a 65, but it is a phenomenally beautiful coin. All the details there, good price to pay for it, getting all the elements. Yeah, maybe the luster isn't there, but still a beautiful piece, especially when you're looking at high dollar coins. This is a good one to get. And this is the grade that you swear by, right, Paula?
Absolutely.
So, Ringmaster Ray, what's going on, brother? How are you doing? I know he's going through Lubbock today. They're going to go hit some coin shops today. Well, make sure you guys do maybe a little mini live or do a short or something. You guys haven't seen Ray. He's cleaned up a little bit. Have you guys seen Ray recently?
No.
His hair's cleared up a little bit. He's been working out. Circus master. Yep. I can't tell you why. Probably know why. Why do all men clean up? My lady. So Ray, I'm happy for you, brother. I'm glad you're doing well. I hear you got a good one. So yep, several videos, lots of stuff coming up. Outstanding. So, but it's good to see you. I know you've been extremely busy with stuff, so it's good having you pop in and say hi. Ringmaster Ray, say hello to Tiger for me. Says vote for Pedro. Me calls you Circus Master. Absolutely. Gold sniping farmer. Just because something has been used doesn't mean it's lawful. That's actual fact, right? And some of these things, while not necessarily deemed illegal, okay, so where's Azure? I'm going to block him real quick.
Right?
I'm just kidding. Azure just sent me a very nice little stack of Godden's double eagles. Oh, wait, no, it's 2 stack. No, no, wait, it's not. Oh, it's 3. No, 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 wait, it's 4 stacks. Um, yeah, he's rubbing it in. Yeah, but pre-33 gold again, and this is something that a lot of people, you'll hear this from stackers, you'll hear this from numismatists, you'll hear this from a lot of people. There's a lot of interest in pre-33 gold. And yeah, he's like, "Wahaha." Hey, as you're, you know what? You can always do what Vote for Pedro did and donate one to the channel. He's like, no. No, and I'm always happy for people that are able to do this kind of stuff. But again, pre-33, it brings a question, and I want to ask the question to chat. And as your folks, as your knows, I'm 100% joking with, just like when I do this with Tiger. Um, I always joke about that stuff. I'm more about building community than I am even my own stack. We're not going to get anywhere in life without relationship, and so that's extremely important with me. But I have to give him a little bit of grief. Yeah, well, the design, the Godden's double eagle, right? It's considered to be the most beautiful American coin. By many people, it's considered to be one of the most beautiful circulation coins anywhere. And so, yeah, it's absolutely an amazing design. But I have a trivia question for you. True or false? I'm going to give something away. I'm going to give a poker chip away, and I'm going to give. What do I want to give? Let's do a couple. Let's do a couple varieties. I got a couple 1960 three-punch mint marks, and I got a DDR here. Let's give away one of these. All right, so true or false? You can do capital T, you can do capital F, you can do the word true, you can do false. Um, the St. Gaudens double eagle that we have was the original design. True or false? The St. Gaudens double eagle that we have is the original design. True or false? And Paul, you can put in chat, but you just say it out loud.
Oh, I've got a little one on my lap right now. I can't put anything in
Oh,
chat.
got you. Well, hello, little one. Me will take all the samples of gold eagles, single or double. I will not discriminate. Yes, that's it. Hello.
You see yourself? See,
What's
look.
up?
See yourself.
Oh, this is Liam.
Is Liam. He's been sick. He's got soccer today, huh? Yeah.
All right. So in chat, I'm seeing some falses and some trues. I have no idea what M stands for. It's maybe. So
He's
Silver Mountain, how you doing? Smile and Lisa S, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for being in the stream. False, false. So the answer is in fact false. So I am going to pull a winner here. And I'm just going to pull one. I'm going to pull one in general for chat, and then I'm going to pull one specifically for the people who got it right. So me, that's funny. Me got the first one, so he's going to get one of these two coins. Reach out to
I
me and tell
see
me which one you want.
Azure go with the first one.
Again?
I see Azure with the first false.
I just drew one for chat.
Oh. Never mind.
Me was the one who got chat. Yeah.
I'm not
Azure
sick.
Blue was the one who got that. So the answer is no. So the design was actually the same general design that is on the $5 Indian. That was actually St. Gaudens' original design for the double eagle. There were some people in that discussion that didn't want that design, and then they ended up utilizing the Walking Liberty design. And so it's absolutely, it's a phenomenal piece. But yeah, the front of that coin was not always going to be that beautiful depiction of liberty. It's supposed to be that Indian. He may have asked before I answer the question, but it's okay. It doesn't really. I will give out some other stuff the people who are in chat anyway. I will be doing one more giveaway to those folks. So um, I did put a go in, so I have no way of knowing when that went in. The thing right now, see, we are at 12%, 37, 1896, 7%. So we're still high with gold confiscation at 48%. I'm going to end the poll. That conversation is over. The results will be down there. Most people, gold confiscation is kind of the story that people have heard about. And then the follow on Hunt Brothers. We can do more with the Hunt Brothers. But the catalyst, again, in all of those is there was something that happened that prompted these issues, and therefore the spike in silver and gold. Is there anybody who's really adept with the gold when they bought it from $20.67? Does anybody know what they set gold out after the fact? If you do, put that answer in chat, and I'll do one more giveaway. If you know how much that is. Now, gold sniping, or excuse me, Azure and me are not eligible. They've already won, so they are not eligible. Again, they bought the gold at $20.67. How much did they stack it to once they had the gold that they wanted? How much did they set the price at? Inkman, good job. Nicely done. $35. The legislative was backed by the fiscal purpose. And again, the whole purpose for this was generating a large profit for the government. The tone of that was around $3 billion. Now, this $3 billion was in that time frame. It'd be close to about $100 billion now. It's just an unreal amount of money. So the process actually gained lots of financial revenue for the U.S. And again, this is why it's considered one of the largest thefts. And that's why I did that in the story. That's why we talked about 6073. And I wanted to share that information with you. So I appreciate you guys letting me do that. And now we'll get into the rest of what we normally do, which is just chit chat. And if people have any questions,
I'm gonna go grab some coffee and take him out to the his mom.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Come on. Oh.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, this is one of those things where looking at information. Bye, Liam. It's important to understand that there are always precursors. And yeah, that trident is amazing. We were talking about that thing earlier. Her granddaughter is infatuated with that piece. I said, be careful. You're going to come to the table one day and she's going to be eating macaroni and cheese with that trident. She's like, don't give me any ideas. Yeah. So, but I hope you guys like this kind of stuff. And I'm going to try to continue to bring you kind of a mix, a hodgepodge, not only of just pure numismatic stuff, but I want to engage a lot of the stackers that are in the community and start talking about some of those things. Right now, we're sitting at 30 likes with 37 people in here. If you haven't already done so, please smash that like button. Tomorrow, we're going to be going over some varieties. We're going to be looking at some varieties, doing some coin search type stuff, talking about that stuff. We're going to get back into Paula and Eric's realm. Smilin says, thanks for all the fun. I love learning instead of just books. Oh, absolutely. Lisa, if you have things that you want to hear about, put them in chat. If there are stories you want to know more about, you can always send an email, go to a video and say, hey, I really enjoyed this video. Why don't you tell me about this one? You can do some of that. Luther, I can actually, you guys want to do some,
I would say a big no on that one.
What do you mean?
If there's any rolled thin or rolled thick planchets, gold coins.
Do any rolled thin or rolled thick oh yeah, I have no idea. They control those very well.
Very, very careful.
There is a series. Now, not to say there isn't from ancient coins or medieval times.
Oh, I don't know about that.
there could be, I mean, various differences,
I
obviously.
imagine those were weighed probably very carefully also.
Yeah, but again, you always had the crown's measurement. You always had, the emperor's, we talked about when I was with Chuck Stacker the other day, and we were talking about the taller and stuff like that. He was like, remember that the people who could strike the coins, the people who had the best pieces were always the ones in key. So they always wanted those things to be as perfect as possible. And it's important to realize that, yes, silver is a precious metal,
Well, the whole monetization on gold coins back then was
was gold.
dictated by the weight.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't imagine that there would be.
Well, there may be variations. And again, it couldn't be too thin and too wide because then gold became
He's talking
um,
about error coins.
okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Is the ad revenue worth having your peeps watch ads during your live stream? Gold Sniping Farmer, I explained why I do that. Um, with YouTube realizing, and they've reached out, there was actually, I attended a seminar on YouTube talking about this, and YouTube pushes your channel out by a couple different mechanisms. One of them is if people want to purchase ad revenue on your channel, they bid against it. This is why sometimes a stream will have X amount of money. But when that dollar amount for that particular ad revenue is higher, YouTube wants to push that out more. Well, if YouTube is pushing it out, but you have ads turned off, that doesn't make the advertiser happy.
Can I
And
give an
so they
opinion?
don't they don't push it out as much. Go ahead.
All this algorithm, YouTube pushing it out, blah, 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 should mean nothing to anybody who is here with for the free entertainment. Look, here comes Paula's harsh voice. Here comes my bad teacher voice. You guys like this channel. You like the content. If you're not going to give super chats and pay for memberships and things like that, watch an ad. It is a way to support the channel that doesn't cost you a dime. And if you have to watch a little bit of an ad in the middle of something, just be grateful and watch the ad. That's just my opinion.
Well,
You're getting free entertainment. Frostbite puts a lot of work into these streams. He does a lot of research. He puts a lot of his personal time into it. If you have to watch a little 30-second ad, like, what is the big deal?
yeah, and again, folks, and I put this in my community page, and it's like, here's the thing. I don't ask you guys for super chats. I don't ask you. Now, you guys do gift memberships. If you guys want to do something, that's something
Mm.
that benefits other members in the community. It helps them feel like there's a part of something. No, Gold Sniping Farmer, we didn't take it as anybody was
No, I
complaining.
didn't say you
It's
were
just an
complaining.
address. Yeah, it's just addressing the reason why. I don't ask you guys to support the channel in financial terms. Okay. I pay my subscriptions. I pay for my software. I do this because I like doing it. My contribution to the community is the most honest education that I can provide to you. Why do I say me? Steve Lapointe, welcome to the planet. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate you. Um, why is that? Why is that important? Because there's so much mis and disinformation. Okay. Now, if I can make enough money to offset my costs, then it's a win for me. But it's not the only reason. Okay. I have a very good job. I love my job. I work my butt off. I need nothing from you. What I want from you is engagement. What I want from you is insight as to what you want to learn about. Okay. This is what interests me. But I really, and folks, you guys tell me what you're going to do. There's a ton of people in here. Thanks, Neil, for the dollar super chat. I appreciate you. Um, here's here's the thing. How many of you, okay, and you do a one, raise your hand. I don't care what you do. How many of you have asked me for a video and have I not delivered within a week or two? a fairly well done, anywhere between 8 and 30-minute video, maybe even an entire live stream on the topic. Why? Well, because I want you guys to get exactly what you want out of this channel. I want to provide you the best information. This is why I work on my network and have people like Paula and Eric and the folks from the Coin Show podcast and the folks from Harlan J. Burke. And this is why Jack Young and Jack Riley and those folks, I try to get them engaged. Why? Because you guys need the best possible information that you can get. That's what matters to me.
A lot of people don't understand how the ads work for creators, though. That it really is like a free way for you to support the creator, because they get a little revenue every time you watch an ad all the way through, or even click on the ad. If you click on the ad, they get even more revenue from it. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, but again, folks, just a reiteration, it's not about the revenue. The revenue is nice, okay? It helps me offset my bills for the creation of YouTube. And if you guys have never seen my production, maybe I need to do a live stream and show you what I do to actually produce a live. Some of you would freak out. I have 3 programs open. I have all of my information. I have 2 pop-out chat windows. I have 3 screens. I've got 3 cameras, lighting for different places, and all the software that you have to pay subscriptions to use. I don't mind doing that because those are all tools of the trade. But here's what I want to provide you guys. I want to provide you guys with something that you guys find beneficial and helps dispel disinformation. That's my goal. So if you want to do something to stop the ads, buy a premium subscription from YouTube, pay a few bucks a month, and don't get ads. I buy it because I don't want to get tons of ads, even for people who get ads. You don't have to send me money. What I need for my channel to grow is for YouTube to push it out. And if I'm not engaging in the processes that helps YouTube identify my channel as something to go out, it won't go anywhere. So I need to push that way. My channel's
Mhm.
growing pretty fast. I mean, I'm already at 6,300 subscribers. I've been doing it for 2 years, a little over 2 years, going on 3 actually. Um, and I've seen good growth, but I want to continue to grow, right? That is something that I want this to reach more people. And is it a little bit selfish? Absolutely.
And you don't have to explain that, though.
No, but here's,
Um,
I mean, everybody wants what they do this. But again, folks, it's not about money. I actually had this conversation
private.
with Steve looking for silver the other day. Actually, I had it with my son too. Do what you love. Do those things that benefit you, that grow you as people, and money will follow. Do the best at whatever it is you're doing. Do something you really enjoy, and money will follow. Okay. And so I'm not chasing the almighty dollar. What I am chasing is people to provide information to that otherwise might just get a bunch of crap information from people like this Eric dude, right? They're only concerned about money. They're only concerned about pushing out videos. They're only concerned about hitting that next million subscribers. Um, I have problems with that because I want to protect the hobby. My goal is just like Paula and everybody else's that comes up here. It's not about making money. It's about protection of the hobby. And that's what matters. So yeah, and pay it forward. Absolutely. Right. That's exactly right, Luther. Um, but again, so gold sniping farmer, I'm not suggesting or insinuating that you
Well,
are
nobody
talking negative.
suggested that he meant
It's
anything
it's an
by
honest
that.
question. I just want you guys to transparency, right? I
My
want people to
point was
understand
just that
why
a
I do
lot of
this.
people don't realize how much that can help a content creator. by
Yeah.
just watching an ad.
No, and that's exactly right. So I do appreciate you all. Um, vote for Pedro. I gotta find a job that pays me to eat tacos. I'm really good at that. Um,
People take things the wrong way. They just get their little feelings.
well, you can be a food critic, but that means you have to eat bad tacos too. What's up, Gold Maple? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I would say invisible, but you can't see. Oh, yeah. But again, well, and Neil, you know what? I understand that you're not monetized. Um, I chose to because if you guys saw how much money per month I put out in creating YouTube, my
Mhm.
research, the subscriptions that I need to certain magazines, the photo house that I use to do my um, videos and stuff with, it all adds up, and I mean it's there's a significant monthly cost, probably to the tune of about $400 to $600. So it costs quite a bit to produce this, and I don't mind doing it. I really don't. But I just want people to understand why I've turned them. Kim,
Most of the educators that are worth anything on YouTube or Facebook or anywhere else typically do this as just a way to give back to the hobby. They don't ask for a dime. So
oh,
that wasn't my point at all, was that you're trying to get rich
no,
or
yeah, we got you. And
anything like that.
yeah, and again, there's no negativity to gold sniping farmer.
I'm
You know,
just suggesting to people, if as a
yeah,
way to support a channel or a content creator, watch an ad all the way through or click on an ad that really does support the creator more than people know.
yep. It actually it can help more than super chats because super chats get
Yeah.
sucked up by YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your ad revenue. I mean, while YouTube gets a portion of it, the amount of money you make from people watching your video is atrocious. Um, and some of the ads, I mean, depending upon the content and how many people there and how engaged they are,
Puerto
um,
Rico.
yeah, it changes. So thanks again, Neil. I appreciate the dollar super chat. We much appreciate all the support, folks. I really do. That means a lot.
Hit the like.
All right. So yeah, exactly. Smash that like button. Um, I've only hit 100 likes probably a dozen times. I really need to start doing like school. Start doing something to help people get there. Because I know over the time of people's entry, more than 100 people float in and out of here. So I need to do something for the likes. Get people to start doing that. That helps the algorithm up too. Don't underestimate the power of engagement. So let's see. I'm not paying YouTube more for. Yeah, I got you. Um,
Yeah, I've never been interested in getting that YouTube premium or whatever either. I don't mind the ads. Most of
I
them are skippable.
yeah, so if you're a premium member, there's still premium dollars that can come to the ad person. But yeah, well, Neil, it can be higher. So one thing that people don't understand about super chats, and if you guys are watching on your phone, don't scroll anywhere. Listen to
Mm.
this. This is really important. Okay. So for those of you, this affects more of you in the vertical stream than it does in the other. So if you're watching vertical, don't scroll for a minute. Listen to this. If you were on an Apple device, i.e., my iPhone, right? I got my iPhone right here. Okay. If you were on an Apple device and you make a super chat, YouTube is not the only one that takes a piece of that.
Mhm.
Apple charges you a fee to do the super chat. If you look at your banking statements and you do a super chat, you'll see that you did a $5 super chat, but they charged you $6.40 or $5.54. If you do 10, you'll see that it's like an $11.37 charge because they're charging you a fee and they're making money for you to do super chats. If you are utilizing an Apple device and you want a super chat, the best way to go about doing that is to go to your browser, open up in desktop mode YouTube, and watch it through desktop mode. Now you can make it big, but now you're bypassing the Apple app and it will not charge you that fee. So if you want to save yourself some money on super chats, stop using the app and use the browser version of YouTube, and that'll bypass that fee that Apple charges you. Because that's, and I tell people all the time, I'll do super chats, but if I'm going to super chat somebody, I get on my computer. Or like Salivate Metal, right? Salivate doesn't even tell you, just cash at me if you want to do that, right? Let's bypass it all about it. But there's a lot of people who just don't track that. I'll do a little short on that. Actually, I probably shouldn't because Apple will blacklist me. But yeah, it can be pretty pricey if you have a bunch of them. Do you have PayPal? You can share here donating with friends or family. Oh, so if you do, hold on, I don't remember which one it is. Is it donate or is it? Yeah, there you go. If you do exclamation point donate, if you, instead of doing it that way, you can send that out. I have a PayPal account. Let me I'll find I think the PayPal account and my Cash App account are the same. If you do at Frostbite Coins, I think at Frostbite Coins is my PayPal. But yeah, so again, I'm not asking you to do it, folks. That's not why I'm trying to get you to do this. You want to do that, you can do that. That's fine. But I want you guys to save your money. And again, Paula talks about this all the time. Oh, Paula, by the way, you're playing with your trident. Me said nice trident, and I told him that we were talking before the stream about your daughter utilizing it, macaroni
Mac
and
and
cheese.
cheese.
You gotta watch out for that one.
I know, she already stole my duck.
That's
My
nothing.
granddaughter.
That's nothing to quack up about. Okay,
Quack.
let's see. Luther, like, this is all new to me. I am stuck in the Stone Age. I'm asking for you to do it. I have no shame. Well, yeah. So here's the whole thing with this. What benefits me more, and you guys, I know you guys are going to, oh my God, here's this, Frosty's being corny. I would much rather have really neat insight. Okay, now listen to what I'm saying. If your grandfather was engaged in a train robbery, I would much rather know that story and how it ties to some numismatic item or something else. Thanks, Metal Matt. Appreciate you, bud. And you do know that 333 is my favorite number, by the way. So much appreciated. Those are the things that I find fascinating. You guys remember Aunt Laura? She would pop into chat. I haven't seen her for a little while. I need to reach out to her. She sent me photos when I did the Apollo 13, the Apollo 11 story. And she sent me photos of her and her father and her brother sitting on an old station wagon watching the launch.
Oh, cool.
You know what that tells me? That commemorative coin is tied to our community. It's tied to somebody that knows the story, that was there, that's seen it, that's been there. Those are the stories that are fun to me. And why is that? Because why do we collect coins? Right? Some of us collect it for the value. Some of us collect them for the history. Some of us collect it because it's shiny and pretty. But I am a numismatist in heart, and my goal is to teach people about the history of of money and talk about those stories and build those connections. Why? Because if you really like that story, you start building the connection to those people, right? And that's what matters to me about connectivity. Um, I enjoy those types of things. Let's see. As you're kindly hit the thumbs up, or I will come to your house, eat all your high protein foods, and not leave you till you hit the thumbs up button. Well, I'm not going to hit thumbs up, dude. Come on over. Let's go.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
You never know who held that coin in their pocket. Yeah, Kim, this is something that Chuck Daughtry, myself, Eric, actually Paula, who it was the four of us when we were talking. Was it you or was it
About
Amanda?
what?
The theft of his content.
Oh, it was me.
Yeah, well, but was it Amanda or was it Eric? It
No, it
was.
was me and you, and I don't remember.
I think it was me, you,
Me, you,
Amanda, and
Brooke, and Amanda.
yeah, there's the four
Mhm.
of us. But anyway, we were talking about that very thing, and one of the things that Chuck said was that, you know what would be cool? Would be able to, and fingerprinting wasn't around long enough to
Mhm.
have people like Elvis or something like that. But it'd be cool to have a service where you can send a coin in and have them look at fingerprint, find out who had those coins, right? Kind of see if some famous person had one. And we're talking like ancients and stuff like that. Now, obviously they didn't have fingerprinting back in those days, so it's an impossible. But it would be a lot of fun to be able to, find out that maybe your gold coin was held by some gangster or, maybe Butch Cassidy or something. Wouldn't that be amazing to find out? I think that'd be so cool. Smile and Lisa says, my sister father-in-law picked up a crew of Apollo 11 in the ocean. The commemorative coin was awesome. Just see again, ties
That's
to
awesome.
another member of our community, right? So these stories aren't just stories. They remind people of family history and the legacy, all that kind of stuff. It's a really neat thing. So those are the kind of things when you come into chat and we're talking about a story, if you have a family connection to that, and let me know because these are things. And I mean,
Oh,
what
very cool, Pedro.
do you say?
He said, I got to work with Ernest Wildy, legendary Hasselblad photographer who trained all of the Apollo astronauts to take photos. He had some crazy stories about them. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know, I probably butchered all of those names and whatever, but
So the Hasselblad photography is
it's
extremely
really
famous,
close.
but he used to work with Vote for Pedro is quite the photographer. He's quite accomplished.
Very
Actually,
cool.
Vote for Pedro's just talented pretty much all the way around. Very,
He's just
very
an
intelligent. Very,
all-around guy,
he
talented
sucks.
guy.
No. So he did a lot of stuff. So him and I had a great talk about photography in that particular story. But it's those things that tie it together. The Great White Fleet, me, right? He's in chat. We had a great conversation. Actually, he sent me a coin to do a video on that, and I don't have that coin with me. But those are the kind of things that build connection to community. And so, yeah, I like super chats. Yes, I like you guys doing membership giveaways. It makes people feel good. But I really would like ideas. I would like those relationship items. I would like those topics that get further broke down and discussed because those are things we as humans don't do enough these days. We don't sit down and tell stories. We don't sit down. Yeah, we might sit down and chit chat because me and Azure live 1,000 miles away from each other. So it's not like I can just get in the car and go see him. So it's good. But him and I pick up the telephone and we actually talk. And so these are the things that where you can find these common grounds. You can find out a lot about who a person is by talking to them. You can find out people who know a lot of information, and you can meet people who you thought knew a lot of the information, and you actually talk to them, and they're not like what they embody. So there's a lot of things that we can do by talking to people. So it's the interaction that I'm engaged in. That's something that I really enjoy. Having the conversation with Check Stacker last weekend, you guys saw that, being able to strike
Mhm.
a coin, right? And um,
That is so cool.
these are things, and I've got this one, here in my hand, right?
Very
Now,
cool.
we knew they weren't going to strike very well because the materials that was used. I'm actually, Jack, I have something that I'm going to do for you. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But understanding when we talk about hammering a coin, I didn't quite realize how specific that strike needed to be in order to really put the pressure across. Because when you see a press, it comes down, it's a flat surface, it pushes down on the top of that large die, that 3-inch diameter end, and that is
Yeah,
used,
it's
it pushes down
easy.
and right,
It's different.
it's nice and flat. But when you're hitting a coin with a hammer, how that transfers to the die really affects how that happens. I understand the theory of it. We've looked through this. We've talked about this. I mean, Paula, you and I have talked about hammered dies and stuff for forever, right?
Mhm.
But to actually do it, to actually talk with somebody and do something, it's kind of that. It's not necessarily an aha moment, but it really does help cement exactly what's happening. Those are the kind of interactions that are fun, and so I'm going to try and start doing more of these. I've got to get to next weekend. They're going to open up um, the Alamo, so I'm going to try and do that story. Still working with them, I
Oh, has
think.
it been closed?
Well, the Alamo's not closed, but they've been doing a lot of construction, so it's almost impossible to film without
Oh, yeah.
and the constant humdrum of vacuum trucks and stuff like that. So I'm
Mhm.
hoping that we can um, uh, get over there when it's not so noisy, and get there early in the morning or later in the evening. Actually, get some good footage and do that Texas piece I've been wanting. Gold Maple, Abraham, Moses, Elijah, and Jeremiah are also very interesting people. That's fact.
Mhm.
That is fact. Um, there's a lot of stories about them that a lot of people don't understand because they take one out. So yeah, very, very important.
Yes,
Um,
Luther, that is a good point. Most coins that people call vice coins are actually hammered. Um, they're not actually put into a vice and squeezed. There's very few of those that we see that are true like vice coins. That's just kind of a catch-all term. Most of them are hammered. That's why it's not like centered and equal and
yeah, see, so all of these things, and actually that's something else that I need to start doing is those applications, like what I
I
did
know
with
you
the
do, Luther. I love that. You have a great illustration.
Luther has a great illustration of.
Hammered vice coins.
Very
he
cool.
he oftentimes when because people just love to argue that they're no, that's not my coin isn't a vice coin, even though we've seen them a million times. Their coin is always different, and so he he loves to prove them wrong by showing them exactly. Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I can make one. Because they'll say, I would love to see how if I would love to see you make one or, you know, he'll go, okay, give me a sec.
Yeah, and see, that's the kind of
And you
practical knowledge and
can make
application
mine.
that people need to have, right?
Mhm.
Because and again, that has that has a good and a bad portion to this. We talk about this a lot with Jack Young. When you teach people what they look like, "Hey, Lisa, have a good one." Take care of yourself. Hope your eyes are good. I have a big sympathy for people with eye issues. So
Me too.
hopefully you can get your eyes fixed so you can do more coin searches. So I
Yes.
will see you later. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for all the support and all the chat today.
Yeah,
Oh, good. Yeah.
Luther actually will make like non so with Vice coins most of the time all the devices are incused and backwards and like they read like in a mirror. But he will actually take that coin and make a non like a false use it as like a false die to make it look like a double struck coin. It's interesting.
So Azure says, have any of the people here stopped buying silver and gold because of the prices?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Luther, absolutely.
I mean, not completely, I guess,
Actually, yeah,
but
go ahead. Well, I'm having a
yeah, not
conversation over you.
completely. I mean, I like the fact that I can now buy the premium stuff that I like for non-premium prices, I guess. You know what I mean? Like normally you'd buy like you know what I mean, like the premium rounds, you can actually just get them at melt or not melt, but a little over melt.
Yeah, I'm I'm buying what I like, but I'm buying primarily numismatic based items,
Yeah.
right? And we were talking before the stream, gold 333 is actually a pretty good deal in retrospect to gold because
It's
the
the time
prices in coins. Yep,
I said it a while ago.
yep,
It's a great time to pick up some and save them from the melting pot.
yep.
Save them if you can.
Luther, I'd actually like to chat with you. Send me an email. I'll respond back. I want to chat with you about that because I actually have an idea that I want to do, and you might be able to provide me tons of insight. So send me
Same
an
with
email if you
silver
will.
coins. Michael Kittle was talking about that he just bought a bunch of peace dollars. Some of the rolls are just, circulated, whatever, and he's probably going to send them to the melting pot. But he has like a couple rolls of BU peace dollars. And he can't, they'll probably go to the melting pot too. And it's very sad that that's happening. But, you know, I mean, I guess the stackers, it doesn't, it doesn't bother them, but it's sad to see that those coins are going to become, just silver bars.
Well, and the problem with that is, again, when you look at, what was our conversation about, right? There are coin acts where you can't melt them down and sell them abroad. That's actually illegal to do. A lot of people don't realize, you can put it into art form and stuff like that, but you can't just melt it down into bullion. If you document that you took, uh, you know, American coinage, melted it down, even you can't do it in sovereign countries because there's laws against it. But one of the things to look at is if it becomes a huge problem, do we risk hurting ourselves with how much is out there and what we get to have? Remember, when people melt this stuff down, they're not documenting that they're getting rid of it. So your population reports don't. Um, people don't know that you cracked out something like right. They don't know that you necessarily cracked out
Right.
that item and you melted it down. So you may have populations of stuff that show that they're not actually there because they've been cracked out and melted. So there's a lot of problems that are caused by that. But as coin collectors, it's just sad to see all those opportunities for some really nice. And there's
Well, there have been coins melted down for, ever, right? Like a lot of some of our commemorative coins in the beginning were made from melted down obsolete coinage, that we had before. So our half dimes and much of our early commemorative coins were made from those.
Yep. What's up? Well, Nick Molnar, how you doing, bud? Good to see you.
But it's I don't know. I find it sad that that's happening because I'm not really a stacker. I'm a collector, and I love the old coins, and it's so sad to me that we're going to be losing so many of them.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. So if you have the opportunity to pick up some pre-33, check those prices. I'm looking at very specific, trying to find a very specific coin
Mm-hmm.
because I want to get a Charlotte and a Dahlonega mint. What's up, Reckless? He's
I've
like
got
the
one
great melt
of
off.
those view. Nice invisible ranch.
Yeah.
That's smart. Michael Kittle's got some great stuff, and usually you can get pretty good deals from him. So
Well, I'm upgrading my Peace Dollar book. I may have to reach out to him about those Peace Dollars.
yeah, if you guys aren't subscribed to Michael Kittle Coins, you should be. He doesn't do a lot of live streaming on his coin channel, but when he does, he usually has some pretty good auctions and you can get some pretty good deals. And he's a full-time coin dealer, so
Yeah,
you can always contact him. He gives really good deals, so he's a good guy.
Nick Molnar's finally healing up after almost 2 years of dealing with those issues. I'm glad you're doing better, bud. Hey, Siren, will you do me a favor? Will you go out and grab Michael Kittle Rare Coins and drop his link in chat? I would greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of people in Visible Ranch, so
Here's a
it's really
question for
rare.
you, and the answer is yes and no. I'll tell you why it's yes, and I'll tell you why it's no. Azure Blue wasn't the first coins made from Martha Washington, and it's yes and no.
They did donate a lot of silver.
They did a lot of silver, but what we would also do, remember, the first U.S. coinages were not silver; they were copper. And what they would do is they would take other countries' copper, and we would just do over the top of them.
Mm-hmm.
Reckless got my email buried in spam. Yeah, no problem. When you have a lot of spam, make a sandwich. But yeah, no problem. I appreciate it, bud. But yeah, so again, the first coins. Well, so here's a question: what was the very first coin? Paula can't talk right now.
Who are you asking me?
No, not you,
Are
because
you
you know the
asking?
answer to
Yeah.
this.
Oh.
I know you know the answer to this. This and your other favorite question. In what year was the 1794 minted?
All right.
People are like, huh? The half deem. The half deem. There you go, Azure. The Disney. Yeah, but again, so there's a lot of different ones. I'm actually going to do story. I don't know if I should even tell you guys. I'll give you a teaser. Okay. I'm going to do a story about a coin that is timed very well for release in October. So I don't know if that gives you guys any clue as to the coins that I'm talking about. It's an actual coin and it has tenants in October. We'll see if anybody can figure that out. John Leslie, my father gave me a $5 Hawaiian brown seal, and I'd love to hear some story about those. I can definitely do a story about Hawaiian notes. There's Hawaii, the Philippines, and North African. The Hawaiian North African in particular were important because they were done to ensure that if the enemy took over, they could quickly get rid of those bills and have it to where the enemy couldn't use them. But if you want to know more, I definitely will put some stuff out. Sean, would you like to see something in a 5-minute video length, or would you like to see something in a short? Let me know in chat, and I'll work on putting that together. So
Did you know
it's
that,
nothing new, Gold Sniping Farmer. It's actually
do you
been
know
around for
who
a long
had
time.
a huge hand in our first copper planchets, making our first copper, supplying our first copper planchets?
French.
No, 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 no.
Are you looking for a person?
Mhm. Should be able to Google it, maybe.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Isaac Newton?
No.
Trying to remember the
Paul
guy who's engaged.
Revere.
Paul Revere. Interesting. Why Paul Revere?
He worked at a copper foundry.
Nice. That's where all the bobbies came from. The copper. Sorry. Anyway. Did you ever do a video about Ted Binion? I did. Ted Binion Horde. It's actually the thumbnail is
Allegedly.
the picture of um, a map of Vegas and a little arrow pointing to a circle, something off the highway. Sean, absolutely. I'll put something out in a couple days. I'll pull something out and get that together. That'll be my next release. Depending upon how much time I have, probably be coming out as a short, but I try to make it a small video. No problem. Thanks for the suggestion. Appreciate it. Yeah, so go check out the Ted Binion Horde. I talked a little bit about the structure of his
Binion.
father, the
Not to be
Binion's
confused with
casino.
Newman.
Talked about the mystery and the murder of his girlfriend and what happened during the time frame, and then their subsequent release, and then um, out there digging in the desert, and the fact that many people believe that it's still to be there. So yeah,
Didn't
there's
his
actually a
girlfriend
couple
kill
different holes.
him?
Again,
Didn't his girlfriend kill him? Or his
his
wife or
yeah, so his girlfriend's boyfriend.
girlfriend's boyfriend?
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, lots of
intriguing.
fun stuff. But yeah, we'll definitely do it. Luther, I got your email. I'll reach out to you following the chat. We'll definitely talk about it. And I'm working on some pretty big things. There's going to be some pretty neat things happening between now and December. Um, yeah, and so we'll I'm trying to bring you some pretty good items. So again, make sure that as you see stuff, and folks, if you'll do me a favor, this is something that is really important. If you guys like a video, share it out, right? If you guys think I did something well, share it out. If you think there's aspects of something, say, hey, Frosty, it'd be really cool. Flip that video and release it, just as a small little 10-minute session. I'm going to be doing that with this piece. Because if there's something that you want to send or show something specifically to, you guys can do small clips of it, right? That links them directly to the video. Or if you want to just, post it in your community page or something, you can. So lots of fun stuff. So a lot of people don't realize that I have a lot of connection and ties to Vegas because of my mother. So you guys want to talk Vegas and cool things with Vegas and, uh, pit bosses and some of the things that happen there. That would be a lot of fun. All right, folks. Well, hey, it's 10 after 10 Central Time. We have had what I believe to be a fun stream. If you guys enjoyed it, please do me a favor. Make sure you're smashing that thumbs up. I show
Have a great
46
day,
likes.
everybody.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Good morning, Jack. How you doing, bud? Good to see you. Hope everything is well in Marion, North Carolina. We've talked about that Azure, but we definitely can bring that up. But again, folks, all these ideas are amazing. But if you'll do me a favor, send them to me in email. Exclamation point email. That will bring up my email. You can do that to the live. Let me put this in here. I think she did it again, but I'm going to drop this in here one more time. Really quick. So again, this is Michael Kittle. Siren dropped that earlier, but I just want to make sure it gets into chat. So if you guys are interested in that stuff, make sure you go check them out. It does a lot of amazing stuff, gives a lot of good information. It's always good to have reliable coin dealers on hand. All right, folks. Well, hey, yeah, it was great to see Teacher in chat. Man, good to see you, bud. Hope you're doing well. Vote for Pedro, Jack Gallman. Luther, thanks for all the chat. I appreciate all the information. I appreciate you reaching out to me. Thank you so much. Smiling Lisa, Jack Stacker, Jack Gallman, Nana Stacks. You guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate all your support. 49 likes. We're almost at 50. Smash that like on your way out. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about varieties and errors. We're going to be here with Paula and Eric. We'll be looking over some coinage, maybe doing a little bit of a coin search. I'll check with Eric and see if that's something he's up to. If not, I've got a roll here that I can go through, and I'll pull something out. Maybe we can look at some coins, talk some varieties and errors. Have Paula regale us with her information while we do some searches. So if that's something you're interested with, then we'll definitely look at it. Folks, again, I appreciate you so much. Go check out the video I did regarding the commemorative coin of Charlie Kirk. Put your comments down below. Metal Matt gave me something to think about. So I want you guys to put your opinion. Doesn't matter if you're pro or against it. Go look at that, watch it, and let me know what you think. All right, folks, I love you guys bunches. Thank you so much for all your support. Be well, be blessed, and I will see you in the streams. Take care.